For almost 2,000 years, it was little more than a whisper, a legend of a building so advanced it sounded like pure fantasy. Well, today, we're pulling that legend out of the history books and bringing it back to life.
I mean, just think about it. Could you actually sit down for dinner and instead of staring at wallpaper, you're watching the entire city of Rome slowly drift by? And then you look up and the ceiling is moving perfectly in sync with the planets and stars? Well, this wasn't science fiction. This was the legendary revolving dining room of Emperor Nero.
So, this incredible place had a name, the Cognadano Rotunda, and for centuries, people thought of it as the absolute peak of Roman engineering. It was more than just a room. It was a symbol of an emperor's staggering power to literally make the world revolve around him.
And you've got to understand, for Nero and his guests, this wasn't just some fancy dinner party trick. It was a deeply spiritual thing. It was an attempt to build a tiny version of the cosmos right there in his palace. A truly immersive spectacle designed to just blow your mind. But when Nero's reign ended, his massive golden palace was eventually buried, and the Carnatio Rotunda just faded. It went from being a real place to a myth. The sounds, the sights, that feeling of being inside this moving marvel, it all just vanished. So that leads to the big question, right? If it was buried and lost for so long, how in the world do we know it was real? How do we know it isn't just a tall tale? Well, it turns out the past has a funny way of leaving clues behind.
And this is the incredible part. It's not just a story. Archaeologists have actually found it. They've dug up the foundations, bits of the mechanism, literally the physical puzzle pieces that prove this wasn't some fantasy. No, this was the real deal. Okay, so this is where our story gets really cool, because now we can take those ancient puzzle pieces and use today's technology to bridge that 2,000-year gap, connecting the ancient world with the digital one. Think of it like this. On one hand, you've got the hard evidence, right? The actual stuff they dug out of the ground, plus descriptions from old Roman texts. But on the other hand, you have powerful tools like AI and digital simulation that can take all that data, intelligently fill in the blanks, and bring the entire thing back to life. And the process is pretty methodical. First, they analyze every single bit of physical evidence. Then, they mash that up with all the historical accounts. After that, AI gets to work, generating images of what the missing parts might have looked like. And for the grand finale, they put it all together to simulate not just the look of the room, but what it actually felt like to be there. And the result of all that work is, well, it's absolutely breathtaking. We can finally step inside and experience the sheer sensory overload that was Nero's court. So let's step inside. The first thing you'd notice probably isn't something you'd see, but something you'd hear, a low, constant mechanical hum from a massive water-powered machine deep below, turning this giant floor. It's the sound of raw, brilliant engineering. Then you'd look out, and as you're eating and talking, the entire city of Rome is just gliding by. The temples, the forum, a living, moving painting that no one else on Earth could see. I mean, talk about the ultimate power move. Your dining room looks out on your entire empire. And of course, the most legendary detail of all, panels in the ceiling would slide open and a shower of fresh flower petals and perfumed water would rain down on the guests. We can now actually simulate that. You can almost smell the thousands of roses. It's luxury on a level that's hard to even comprehend. So you might be wondering, why do all this? Why put so much effort into rebuilding just one room? Well, because this is about something much bigger. It represents a huge shift in how we connect with history. It's so much more than just seeing pictures in a textbook. At the end of the day, this kind of technology gives us a kind of empathy for the past. It lets us step into their world, even for a moment, and feel what they felt. It moves history from being a collection of facts to a collection of human experiences. It really gets you thinking, doesn't it? Now that we've reawakened Nero's wonder, what's next? What other lost worlds are just waiting for us to rebuild them? The Hanging Gardens of Babylon? The Great Library of Alexandria? I'll leave you with that. What should we experience next?